we are paying out the debt. And we are so far okay because we have a huge deposit inside. We are still enjoying current surplus more than half century. But current surplus is now shrinking. And in 5 years, we are entering into the current deficit.
Japan has been said for past 20 years. It's been a very long recession. It's not only last year because of Euro crisis. It's not because of the 2008 of the US crisis. Japan has been suffering for 20 years. The debt in Japan is actually doubling its actually GDP. It's huge.
The country itself, we don't really need to pay back the full amount, 4 trillion euro. When you look at the country itself as a company, going out there and borrow some money to do something better to kind of get some return, we have to kind of come up with some sort of plan. It's treating the country itself as a company, the plan that is actually produces more profit than their cost.
When we think of the company with a higher debt, the action would be very simple. One is cutting the cost, and one is to draw the next growth strategy and just pursue. So I think in terms of company, in terms of country, it's the same. So doing the both ways would be the only solution.
Japanese economy has been declining. We feel very in a rush where we have to do something.
The Japan companies are pretty recession resistant, and then started to look forward in the future. So started investing in new generations, starting investing in other foreign country companies, especially with the strong yen. So I think this year and next year will be a kind of turning point for Japanese companies to change their mode, to move forward, sometimes changing the business models drastically, and also maybe changing the executives for younger generations.
All these big companies that you know already, when it comes to brands as a Japanese brand, when they started business, like right after World War II, no one really has money, there's no economy in Japan, everything's just devastated, so they had no market here in Japan, right? So all these entrepreneurs like Honda, Soichiro Honda, there's Toyota, all these people out there actually went out to international market because they had to. And that actually helped Japanese economy really recover by collecting all the foreign currency. That's why Japan has been kind of flourished as a second, largest economy. Now it's third, and we create this domestic demand in this domestic market. That's why all these people in this younger generation don't really have to go abroad. But when it really comes to economy here, it's kind of stagnant.
What the government has to do is actually to cut off the inefficient government budget first, and second, to leverage or to stimulate the companies to grow more. Or maybe not to stop them at least, but those decisions should be made by the top leaders. Maybe it takes 1 or 2 years for the country or government to go forward, but I think it's very close to the end to make a very good decision for the country to move forward.
We are in kind of crisis, but we can turn this crisis into opportunity. Japan is stagnant for more than 2 decades, but we are lucky. We are in the middle of the fastest growing area in the world, the Asia. Neighbors, you see the neighbors, the China, India, or Indonesia, or Southeast Asia countries. So we have to take these countries' energy and growth power to our country's growth. So going global is a key, and the key is held by the young people. For these people, crisis can be turned to opportunity.
No one really has hinted us. Maybe the danger in this economy is just around the corner, but we don't really hear that. We don't really see that because we are living in a world where when we want something, we get that. Maybe this economic crisis is just around the corner, but we are in an environment where we don't have to think about that. That's why we have to wake up. We need this entrepreneurship.
The government or the current leaders know that they have to support new innovations. But in my point of view, they are not familiar how to do it. There should be some success stories or success cases to persuade other parties to move forward.
So many mails a day.
Dr. Take is one of the kind of symbol of that kind of generation to go forward.
I run a company called Flutterscape in Tokyo. I started it 1.5 years ago with my co-founder, Ari, Indonesian guy, living in Tokyo. Basically, we run the cross-border shopping online community where we make it super easy for international shoppers to discover all kinds of interesting stuff from Japan and allow them to easily buy them from Japan with our safe international delivery and payment system.
Luckily enough, we have, accumulated wealth. Financial asset, and the culture, and the skill sets. So we have to make the most use of these skill sets. And among them, culture is a key. The new business associated with the internet will be coming from Japan. The people like him will turn Japan into place something like a mecca of the new business.
For Flutterscape, the greatest value of this service is to bridge a gap between Japan and the rest of the world, right? And Japan has been like such a disclosed country. So breaking through all this international market, bringing in like 250,000 customers into all this Japanese market for anything Japanese has been very difficult. The value of the company has been really high because of that. Like we really doing stuff that no one really has ever achieved. It's been really difficult for any other companies in Japan, who doesn't really speak English, who doesn't know how to collect payment, who doesn't know how to ship internationally to reach, international markets. But we did it. However, this consumer-to-consumer service will actually take some time to take off. So we have to kind of wait and do as many strategies as possible to help the service grow. We have to, create the way to make money, make cash, to pay my employees as quick as possible. That's why we come up with this another business model called Monaco. This is going to be design, product-oriented, dedicated shopping site. This is going to be easier and faster because we're just speaking about Japanese design to Japanese consumers.
We are a certified or authorized seller for this design item.
We actually aim at making a profit on a day one when we actually do this flash sales of interesting stuff. It's gonna be kind of a portfolio of long-term cash generator and short-term cash generator, which at the end of the day still creates the more value for a company.
He's of course passionate as an entrepreneur, and he's more action-oriented. So just not thinking but act now, right? That kind of attitude is actually the must part of the entrepreneur. So he has all that, and also he's more social, meaning he has a kind of influence to gather partners. His service is actually a kind of community, right? So community needs.
So if you're not targeting the right people, you cannot expect them to actually sign up to Monaco.
We need to get the publicity as quick as possible. So I just no story, but this is how we did it, right?
I've got this list of bloggers that I've been meaning to contact. I split up the list based on what the purpose of their blog is.
He is a good, social activist to gather partners who are necessary for his business growth and for his service growth and for himself also. So that's why actually I'm supporting him.
This is a great product, great service, and I like this part. As in terms of marketing, we are really international and global minded with a great team of 10 that are all international talents. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to a great team and a great product. In order to spread this product to more people, we need money, and we're talking about a marketing fee. We need a marketer cost. Yeah, we've been talking with all these foreign investors, and it's such an honor to receive a foreign investment to Japanese companies like my entity.
私自身別に投資家として今後やっていくつもりも全くなくてですね、やっぱり死ぬまで事業をやり続けると思いますし、アメリカってもシリアルアントレプレナーたくさんいらっしゃるじゃないですか。多分私は日本でもその中の一人になりたいと思っていて、例えば5年に1回ぐらい会社をやってるんだけども、中に例えば一生続けられる会社を見つけてすごい大きなものにするっていう。常に何かを考えることが好きなんですよね。僕は同じ同志としてでやっぱりその応援も含めて、あと影間さんに僕にないやっぱりインターナショナルな、ワールドワイドな考え方とか人脈っていうのを僕自身もすごく学びたいと思って投資をしました。なので日本国に役に立ちたいとか、あと短期で売り抜けたいっていうのは一切なくて。 お互いこう同じペースでこう大きくなっていった時に、まあ、もちろんいつか大きなリターンも得ると思うんですけど、それ以上のやっぱりそのメンタル的なリターンとかもやっぱりお互いにあると思うので。
First benefit that the NetPrice can actually get from incubating my company would be the press release, getting some good reputation by just helping young entrepreneurs out there, producing and incubating young business and all the seeds out there. And the second benefit is such that they of course they still get a little bit of ownership of my company. So in the case of liquidation event, then of course they sell the company share, and that way I can return the biggest favor to my respected CEO, Mr. Sato.
So it's not helping, it's actually collaborating or maybe co-learning. Things are changing and business models should be changing rapidly and drastically. The past experience, the past knowledge might not be useful in the next 5 years. So we have to keep learning. We have to do something new all the time, right? Those generation gaps actually helps for people to learn more, right? So I can learn from elder age. I can learn from history. I can learn from like Take, like 20-year talented entrepreneurs. I can learn from high school students because when they get born, internet was there, right? I can learn from elementary school students because when they get born, iPhone was all the way.
I went to a kindergarten where there's like a whole bunch of pieces of wood, hammer, nails, axe and everything. So I get to actually create my own tools or toys that I can play with. There was also a kindergarten that I was really got attracted to. Like they have so much toys and slides and playgrounds. Kids are kind of look really happy. But my mom decided to dispatch me and send me to the kindergarten without playgrounds. So basically I get to have this kind of creativity where I have to produce some value out of nothing. So I kind of feel like that was like my first enlightenment for my entrepreneurship. Basically you have to create your own value. How I see this group today is kind of a group of indie designers. They are looking for kind of channel to sell their product, but they haven't really made a decision to take the production risk because they can't really have the some ability to sell their product very efficiently. We want to bring back the value to the product again. People see who really produced this one, where the product coming from, what kind of a spirit and a message that the designer actually brought to this product. It should be essential for people to actually make a decision of buying. So we want to express that identity of the product as much as possible with the My Service. Hopefully that kind of value-added information around the product will be something new to the future. I joined my mentor's company at the senior year of my university as an intern by kicking off the job that I got at the financial company. My first project at this company, NetPrice, was to restart the eBay Japan, because at the time eBay Japan wanted to start it again. They failed to do a business in Japan back in 1997. I found that it's really difficult to do such businesses for Japanese people, so I kept giving ideas and feedback to the eBay executives, but then they weren't really listening, and I got kind of frustrated. So there's this incubation program inside this NetPrice, and I pitched Mr. Sato with my new business idea to restart a better version of eBay that actually results in a Flutterscape.
So government, is now trying to help promote more, new businesses coming from new areas, internet, nanotechnologies, biotechnologies, agri-technologies, and substitution energies. But the more the government giving them a subsidies, the weaker they will be. And the best way is not having too much. Leave them what they are, what they want to do.
How can all the young Japanese people do all this encouragement of starting your own business or going abroad and start your own company, or speaking and try to learn the Mandarin or English when government cannot do that? Despite the government is always come up with all the fund and like all that kind of stuff, and hey, you should do this, you should do that. But they always come up with what? What they don't have is how, because they don't know how. We have so much increasing number of incubators for startups. What I mean by that, they're actually coming up with about 50 to 100 million fund. And Japanese government has just announced that they have also come up with the same thing with 60 million euro fund. And people are like, oh, you cannot do that. This is going to be another big failure. There's no one who actually has ever done job, or even if they do, it's a very small traction. They can really do a great job as maybe other incubators who has about 10 or 20, business mentors and entrepreneurs that are already successful.
Japan, for many years, tried to copy the Silicon Valley, try to sign such kind of ecosystem happens inside this country, but it won't happen. Silicon Valley is not a government-oriented plan. Government makes mistakes when creating stagnant economy. The young people come to think that government is not reliable, and we are in the kind of crisis, and the big companies is not a safe harbor. We have to make money by ourselves. Social security is not reliable anymore. So that kind of sense crisis is also needed.
Japan itself is really elitist and very highly structured. It's a bit diplomatic in a way. Everything's kind of structured and organized. People love that sometimes. But then there's no kind of a space for people to think about what their life should be. People love to be used, and at the end of the day, they're happy when their bosses come out and say, hey, you did a good job. Then they're like, okay, cool, this is what I like to do. We didn't have this kind of culture of kind of asking yourself, is this my life? Doing this thing, and over again. I think fundamentally Japanese people are lacking the ability to question themselves.
Spending kind of crisis time is a kind of matter of innovation or matter of decision. Business-wise, actually, the timing is really now. So to create new industry, to go more globally, politics will come pretty soon. And then healthcare, education will come a bit later. So that's my understanding for next 20 years. The situation is actually getting easier to start. I really think that everyone who has a will should start something that he can do.
例えば仮に金融危機で全員の所得が半分になったとしますよね。削られるのは多分何ですかね、贅沢品が削られていくと思うんですね。でも絶対に削られるのは食費じゃないですか。給料半分になったから食事を俺我慢して1日3回1日 1.5 回にするかってできないわけですよね。そう考えるともはや我々の e コマースの業界ってインフラに結構近くて、多少削ったとしても絶対に欲しいものはあるし、着なきゃいけないものもあるし、食べなきゃいけないものもあるってことでなくならないと思うんですよ。でむしろ逆に今まで大手スーパーでとか百貨店で買ってたような人がちょっとでも安いものを求めてくることになると思うんですよね。で今リセッションじゃないですけど、日本でもやっぱり消費税が上がるってことは一種のリセッションだと思っていて、そうなるとみんな新品買うんじゃなくて、それこそユーズドなものを C2C でやり合った方が税金かかんないですし、いいわけなんですよね。そういった意味では我々はむしろ経済が多少停滞したとしても、それ以上にやっぱり我々の意義が余計だから意義が大きくなると思っているので、ビジネスを拡大するチャンスかなと思ってます。なぜならばもうインフラだと思うからです。それももう示されていると。つまり日本は一回今回のリセッションで一時的な証明されてるんです。今まで普通に街に行って買ってたものをみんなネットで買うようになったので、逆にオンライン化が進んだんです。
I think the future of IT, future of the internet is going to be pretty strong. A lot of mass customers gonna still follow the business designed by all these people out there who still utilize the internet. Problems are kind of pretty easily solved by bringing more people into the ecosystem. More people come into the ecosystem, more money or economy happening around that ecosystem. Still really powerful for the future.
Our generation is all connected to the internet, right? So we can get all the information from the internet. Then if you see at the kind of Silicon Valley case, then I think we can do the same. But maybe we can do better, right? So that kind of reality around the younger generation actually motivating them to start something and to think globally and to act globally.
インターネットで結局ある意味バーチャルリアリティっていうか仮想現実というかですね、もう一つの現実なわけですよね。そうするとそこのサービスってやっぱり同じようになっていって、例えばGoogle だろうがFacebook だろうがやっぱりAmazon もそうですけど、まず e コマースから入ったコミュニケーションから入ったサーチから入ったって言っても結局お互いの領域被ってくるわけですよね。しのぎを削るわけですよね。 でどんどんその日常生活をカバーする領域が広がっていった場合に、我々がその彼らの全く無縁なところにドーンと割って入ることももちろんやってみたいんですけれども、例えば僕が好きな会社なら、アドビシステムズってなんですけど、そういうふうになんていうかグローバルニッチっていうのはもちろん考えています。ただそこまでいけなかったとしても、じゃあどっかで大きなグループに飲まれることによって世界中の人々にサービスが提供できるんであれば、それはある意味アートなわけですよね。やっぱりアーティストとしては自分のサービスが多くの人々に提供されて、
Internet, has real-time communication, flexibility, and speed. To me, whenever I find a problem, I wanted to, quickly solve that problem for people. And Internet is kind of like a tool for me to design the business model to solve that problem, as quickly as possible and reach out the customers right out there under the entrepreneurship that I pursue.
If you can combine those culture, entertainment, gourmet, fashion with internet, the social media, the Tokyo has a lot of opportunity to create a new business that may create more employment and more engine for growth of this country. I see a lot of opportunity, and those industries should be done by young people. And what I worry about is two things. One is finance, risk money. And the other thing is, this country is not very generous to failure.
That's how we have been, not treating failure as a virtue. We've been doing this past 40 years or 50 years. Japan itself is like a totally collectivism. You have to be always the same. And on top of that, we have to be kind of like elite. We have to be kind of like perfect. Internet is there, but then you can't really talk about your mistakes or your status quo, your things that you wanted to talk to people, but then you can't because it's really disclosed society.
In the United States, failure would be recognized as a kind of a discovery or maybe learning, right? That kind of mentality is not actually in Japan yet, right? But in terms of business, and Japan, safe country, the failure is just lose money. That's it. Not losing everything, right?
In Silicon Valley, one time mistake, two time mistake, three time mistake, they're okay. Without mistakes, you never get trusted. So that's culture what we need to make it happen here. But it's coming. And also finance, the first generation startups, very successful people, is now trying to giving money to next generation startups. So this good cycle is coming.
Even compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the development cost is really getting cheap, right? So initial money that you really need to start your business is really low. It could be covered from your pocket money even. So in terms of failure and in terms of internet business, it's actually nothing would be defined as failure. It's just a mentality issue. So if talented young people who has no experience but have a good passion and have a good vision, then he can actually support, right? And then those people who actually achieved something or who have done similar things before can support him, sometimes in terms of money, but sometimes in terms of mental, telling them that the failure is just a business failure, not the life failure, because society itself is actually failure protected.
They try looking for a reason not to do kind of stuff that they wanted to do. And people are really good at that, right? Because looking for a reason not to do it, we have to really create this kind of environment. Oh, you come up with the idea? Dude, I think you should really do it, Or you come up with the idea? Oh, dude, I totally admire to do it. Like just, quit your job and, maybe I can fund you kind of thing.
Since technology, especially technology, is changing so rapidly, nothing is actually stable. So based on this fact, we have to keep going, keep learning from anyone, learning from anybody, any countries, any companies.
In the long run, I hope to have the company running for the rest of my life, or maybe even for 300 years, because I think that at the end of the day, the company itself is a public kind of container to help the people solve the problem. So I think that, the company itself should be running forever. I chose to start on my own business in this very tough era of what Japan has been kind of facing, because I think this is a chance. People kind of sitting back and just seeing what it is, and no one really taking a risk. So this is a good time for me to go out there and say, okay, I can do this, because otherwise someone else has to do it.